This is prime exam season, and if most of us haven't already, we're about to go on study leave. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can make study leave work for you and how you can use it effectively to get the top grades that you so badly want. If you're anything like me, most of your revision is going to be done during study leave, between exams. And I think that's totally fine, as long as you're doing it properly. But there's one thing I need you to do. In order to actually benefit from this video, you need to watch this video carefully, and you need to implement everything I tell you to do. To begin with, I think timetabling is very important. And to be honest, I don't think timetabling, it should be just specific to exam season. I think you should be doing it all the time to manage your time effectively and to make sure that you're doing the things that you need to do. Personally, on Sunday or Monday, I like to set out my goals for the week and I like to tick them off as the week progresses. I do this either on my whiteboard or on my phone, and it makes sure that I don't forget the goals that I'm meant to achieve for the week. And then using my goals that I've already set out, I plan my day every single morning on Google Calendar. And I think it's absolutely amazing. It's helped me manage my time so much more effectively. Since humans are naturally deadline oriented, by planning your day out, you're going to naturally try and do your work more efficiently and quickly to make sure that you meet deadlines. And that's why I think planning out your day is so important, because it makes sure that you do all the work that you're meant to do for the day to an optimum standard. Now, obviously, you're not a robot and you can't follow it to the best possible extent because life happens. Things are going to come up and you can't follow it all the time. This is why I want you to account for this in your schedule. Try to set out a period of time to make sure that you can adjust your timetable depending on whether something comes up in the day. By preparing this way, you make sure that you're on top of things, and it will really set you up for exam success because you make sure that you're doing all the revision you need to do for each exam in the manner that you want to do it. And it's not just random and impromptu where you just revise what you feel like revising or you think you should revise. It's all planned out and you're like, yes, I've done this, tick. I'm going to do this next, tick, 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 tick. And by doing this, you're going to make massive progress on your revision. Now, I know a lot of people use Notion, and I've tried using it myself, and personally, I feel like it's way too complicated and it adds way too much friction. And the way I do it right now, it works for me, so I don't really find a need to use Notion. But if you think it works for you, then go ahead. So whilst you're on study leave, I think all you should be doing right now is the past paper method. And if you haven't watched my previous video, I'll link it in the description, because I talk about the past paper method in detail in that video. In that video, I also talk about what you should do the night before the exam. And I feel like this tip has massively boosted my exam grades because it makes sure that anything I'm not uncomfortable with, I cover. The only thing I regret is not having discovered this tactic before, because I feel like it could have boosted so many of my grades if I had used it before. So if you haven't watched that video, I would definitely recommend watching it because it gives you a step-by-step guide to how to maximize your grades from this point on. I know this is probably cliche, and you probably hear it a lot, but sleep schedule is so important. I know you'll have that desire to cram the night before the exam, and if you're not well prepared, it might need to come to that. But if you are disciplined and you have done the work that's needed of you before, you need to maintain a good sleep schedule. You need to be waking up at the same time, and you need to be going to bed at the same time, because a consistent sleep schedule means that you're optimizing your sleep for better performance during the day. Let me tell you a story. Last year, during my exams, I got about 3 hours of sleep per day. And I was so exhausted, my productivity was down, and I wasn't feeling my best during the exams. And I really feel like it harmed my exam performance. One vivid memory I have is of the day before computing paper 2. I crammed throughout the night, and during the exam I felt so tired. I just wanted to sleep. I had my head on the desk and I was half sleepy, and I just about wrote my answers. My handwriting was terrible. To be fair, I did get a really high 9 in that, but I know I could have done so much more better if I actually slept. Yes, you might need to cram if you haven't revised before, but don't let it come to that, because you want to be waking up at the same time every day and you want to be going to bed at the same time every day, because you need to build that consistent routine where everything just clicks into place and you're doing everything you need to do without much friction. During exam season, I would thoroughly recommend not having social media, because even if you think you can be disciplined and allocate a certain time to social media, you're really not that perfect. Because how often do you find yourself allocating 5 minutes or 2 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever, and you end up spending 2 to 3 to 4 times more time than you actually thought you would spend on it? It's just going to disrupt your focus and you're not going to be able to do the things that you wanted to do. It's going to mess up your routine, it's going to mess up your schedule, and you're going to find yourself procrastinating. Please don't make the mistake of thinking that you can manage social media. If you have the burning desire to get the top grades, you will be able to sacrifice social media for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, if you're doing GCSEs. Personally, the only social media I have on my phone is YouTube and WhatsApp. I don't have anything else. This is not just during the exam season, this is all the time. Now, I do find myself downloading TikTok or Instagram from time to time, but that's only like once or twice a week, and it's only for like 15-minute vlogs. So I don't really use much social media, except from YouTube. Even WhatsApp, I don't use that much. I use about 20 minutes per day. And I've noticed a massive difference from when I had Instagram and TikTok on my phone and from when I don't. It's saved about 1 to 2 hours every single day, because I find myself not getting distracted, and I find myself being able to get into a full flow state where I can focus without any distractions. Let's be real, TikTok and Instagram are corrupting your attention spans. They're filling your brain up with the useless information that won't help you in any way. You often find your attention wandering to stuff that you weren't even meant to think about. Like, what's the point? I'm sure you can survive without it. And if you really want the top grades, you're gonna make the sacrifice. So just do it. No questions asked, just do it. Or else come out on results day with the pain of regret of having not done it. This is not to say not to take breaks though. Please do exercise every day. And I would recommend going for a run every day, because it keeps your blood flowing and you have something to take your mind off for a while. And when you do come back to studying, you feel like your concentration and your focus is improved, and then you can get a stronger burst of working. Why do you think most accomplished academics exercise as part of their daily routines? There's clearly a health benefit, and you should be tapping into it. I feel like the food you eat also has a massive impact on how you perform whilst you're studying and during the exam. All that sugary food, processed food, carbs, all of that, it just clouds your mind and it gives you brain fog. You can't focus on the task. And even if you do discipline yourself to study, it's not going to be up to optimum standard. You want to be eating clean food throughout exam period. You want to be able to maximize your marks in any way possible. Now, you will get urges if you don't have that habit of eating clean food already. So when you do get an urge, this is what I want you to do. I want you to at least force yourself to complete some important work before you give in to your urge and you eat that food. Because this way, at least you're completing some work in return for a reward at the end. And at least you won't feel as guilty about it at the end. If this was any time but exam period, I would tell you to resist altogether. But you only have a finite amount of willpower in the day. And you don't want to be using that willpower on trying to quit addictions. You want to be using that willpower to study. So one advice is, try not to quit anything. Just try to resist as much as you can. But don't use that willpower on unnecessary things. Use it for studying so you can maximize your exam performance. You might think this is cringe or weird, or that you're not some monk. And that's really what I thought when I first started. But meditation is literally the ultimate hack to focusing better. Now, I'm not a scientist, but it improves that memory area in your brain, and you find yourself remembering so much more stuff. Your focus is less likely to drift, and your mind is in the work. You're focusing on the work that you're doing. The content you learn is actually going into your mind, rather than you just mindlessly reading the work that you're doing. Every morning, I like to take a cold shower, and ever since I've started doing it, I've seen a massive impact on my performance. There's loads of benefits. And like I said, I'm not a scientist, so I'm not going to go into the sciencey bit of it. According to what I heard, it raises your dopamine baseline, meaning that you're less susceptible to cheap dopamine habits, for example. But the reason I do it is because it keeps me alert during the day. It wakes me up. Because when you wake up, you feel so groggy and you feel tired. But once you get in the cold shower, you feel energetic and you feel like you've accomplished something and you're ready to get on with your day. Taking a cold shower will be hard because the anticipation of stepping into the shower is so scary. But trust me, once you step in and after the initial 5 seconds, it gets so easy. It's so easy to continue staying in there. The hardest bit is getting started, and that's with anything. After that, it becomes so much more easier to continue. Relate this to studying. To start studying is hard, but once you start it and you get in the flow state, it's so easy to continue studying. That's why you don't want any distractions. You want to delete social media, you want to meditate, you want to eat good food, and you want to be well rested. Because this way, everything you do is streamlined to working your best. Now, I did talk about this in my other video, but talking to the right people during study leave is so important as well. You want to be talking to people who are hard workers, people who are revising hard, people who have probably revised more than you, because this motivates you to work so much harder. Let's compare it to another scenario. Imagine you're talking to someone who hasn't revised at all, just playing on their PlayStation or doing something stupid with their time. You're going to become complacent and you're less likely to work. So by only talking to people who are working harder than you, you're going to build this environment in your brain where it's like, everyone is working harder than me. And it's going to force you to work so much harder because humans are naturally competitive. So you're going to be inclined to compete with them. Have you ever heard of the saying, you are the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with? And it's true. Why do you think you're so like your best friends? Because you influence each other and you kind of change them in a way that they all become similar to you. In my friend group, I was one of the first people to start going to the gym. This kind of motivated and influenced my friends to go to the gym more. And it's had a positive reinforcement effect where we keep pushing each other to go more and more. You want to be like this with your studies. You want to compete and motivate each other to study harder so you can all get the grades that you want. Now, if you're really crazy like me, you can even go a step further. You can go extreme. You can shave all your hair off. Now, that was a lot of information, and I will condense all this information in the description so it's more accessible for all of you. If you can at least follow 80% of what I've said today, it really will make a difference to your exam performance. You will feel yourself concentrating more, and you will feel that your study performance is improved, and you will feel yourself retaining more information than you were before. Clearly, not everyone who gets the top grades does this, but I can assure you, everyone who does this does get top grades. Good luck, you've got this.